Man, I wish you had sent me that video. I've never heard of that.
I thought I did send it. Maybe I didn't. But
Yeah, I saw some wild stuff research in this episode. Yeah, I never saw that one. The simple safety equipment that a lot of us don't use sometimes. I'm going to bring one up here in a second, right?
A lot of time. The poor bricklayers. The brickies. The guys that are actually putting up these facades.
That's a lot of investment for someone who can now just carry more. And most of, because it's a Rambler, right? So it's only a little home. My wife and I have no kids, as I've mentioned before. So obviously we don't need to worry about space, right? So which means every remodel that I'm eventually going to have to do is drastically less expensive because it's smaller.
Right.
You know, so yeah, no, I'm not unaware. And clearly I don't care enough about the fact that a lot of our clutter is shoved into one area because we remodel another part and blah, blah, blah. Yes, I always say it, but at the same time, if it really bothered me, I wouldn't let people come through, or I would have cleaned up that area to make it more presentable.
Right.
I care enough to go, hey, sorry about the clutter,
Right.
or the disaster, or whatever I call it in that particular day, but I don't care enough that I don't let anybody come in. Like,
Yeah. That is how it works.
I am on the fence with that. Yeah, I wish it looked better for people coming in, but on the bright side, I shouldn't say on the bright side. As somebody mentioned to me, I think I've brought up in the podcast before, later when people come back and it's all tickety-boo in the way I want it, at least they'll have the full, like, oh, wow, your thing was a piece of shit earlier, and look how great it looks now. Like, I'm okay with that.
And that's why me and the wife haven't had any parties or anything at our place. It's just not where I want it to be.
Yeah, but it never will be, man.
Right.
Have people over while it looks like crap, and then later on when you got to finish and it looks fantastic.
Right.
A little bit of extra pride for you to have a few people, not everybody, right? But a few people that have been like, oh, wow, I was here when, things were in the midst of everything. And wow, what a great job you did. Right. I'm just going through it with my kitchen right now. It's fantastic. It's a real ego boost. One of my in-laws brought it up last night. I got to come over and see your new place. I heard it looks great. Oh, man, that felt real good.
Yeah, your kitchen has turned out really, really well.
I still got a few odds and ends, but man, I'm pretty happy with how it goes.
And you and I will hammer out that fucking tile as soon as you guys are ready.
Yeah, I got the tile in my truck, buddy.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, I think even enough. I tried to do the math.
Yeah.
And
just plus 10%. That's all you got to do.
Well, I went further than that, so we're okay. Are you recording already?
I am.
Okay. I'll start a timer. I thought I saw you reaching for it there.
Mm-hmm. Are you ready to go, my man?
I am.
All right. All right. Welcome into the High Shower After Work podcast, the podcast for everything trades and trades related. We're here again for another week. I want to thank everybody for joining us, taking the time out of their lives to listen to a couple of roughnecks that's just trying to do a podcast and having a good time.
Here.
And as you just heard, Jason is across the table from me again. Another lovely week. Jason, my brother, how are you doing, my man?
Fantastic, man. How are you? How was your week?
It's going pretty good. Can't really complain. How about yours?
I had one of these rare weeks where things were real cake, as we'd say in the industry. I had nice, easy jobs all week.
Oh, we all kind of wish for those.
Yeah, they're nice weeks when they happen. Everybody out here can appreciate it. They're nodding their head. Yeah, we got lucky. I had every job this week was pretty simple.
Oh, that is so nice. I get those probably 2 or 3 times a year where I can just look back and go, yeah, this week was easy.
That's about where I'm at. Yeah, you get 2 or 3 of those a year where you're like, yeah, never wish every week could be like that, even though we know it's not going to be like that.
It's not going to happen. That is a great segue, actually, to what I wanted to talk about this week. So we had this idea of talking about game changers and what that looks like and things that have happened in the trades that have made our lives easier, made the jobs easier. The improvements that we've seen that just make the quality of life on the job site better. That's a good way to do it.
There's definitely a ton of them. Now, obviously, there'd be a tiny bit of overlap from one of the previous episodes. Actually, two of the previous episodes. One when we talked about tools and one when we talked about technology specifically. You'll hear a bit of overlap today, but this was basically a slightly different idea. And I like what you're thinking, man, of the sometimes complicated, fancy, sometimes simple and obvious in retrospect things that have just made our lives easier, all of us.
Right. And not only that, but being able to embrace the technology side and what these companies have done to speed up efficiency, take in a lot of the back-breaking labor out of our job.
Yeah, it's not always just a physical tool or a piece of technology, but how they do things that often can help our flow through work a lot, make it easier, more efficient, whatever it happens to be. Yeah, it's not always just a thing. Sometimes it's a way of doing things.
Right, exactly. The first part that I wanted to touch on was, and this crossing realms here, crossing episodes here. Very first thing, kind of right out of the gate, is let's talk about the improvements in what we've seen in just power tools, right? Between even pneumatic tools, the air compressed ones, to our regular day-to-day drills, hammer drills, saws, anything. Like,
even a slight step back from that, of not even the variety and ease of power tools now, but the fact that now it's battery operated power tools set dragging cords everywhere.
Oh, fuck, right.
You know what I mean? Like, we just said this is the Game Changers episode. The day that people didn't have to start dragging cords around for every single tool, and I mean every single tool, that's huge. Like, the battery switch is a gigantic one.
It's huge. And I don't think people realize how huge that actually was, because it states right in OSHA laws and OSHA regulations that you can't actually have cords dragging and draped out across the floor. You're supposed to have them hung up.
They do have rules about it. That's for sure. Yeah.
So you take all these from, oh God, I can't even remember. Like, it wasn't all that long ago, 20, 30 years ago, where there was no battery tools. I mean, the job site was an absolute disaster.
Oh, for sure. You're tripping over shit all the time, right?
All the time. Or getting clotheslined by a cord that was hanging across the doorway.
Even when I was first an apprentice, all the, what I would just say, quote unquote, like bigger tools that took more power, like a big chop saw, a big circular saw, a big hammer drill. Like, yes, there was a variety of battery operated hand tools that were available, but the big gear, that was always corded. Even when I first started, like, the fact that that's battery operated is the last 12 years, 13 years.
Yeah, if that. I mean,
if you didn't want to spend a crazy amount of money, which we're going to talk about later, by the way. I got some crazy amount of money to talk later. I found some fucking shit. Yeah.
I saw recently, so I'm so used to guys on commercial construction, when they're running steel studs, that they will have their chop saws to cut steel studs. And those were always corded. But then I just ran into a guy running steel studs, and they had this little chop saw. It had maybe an 8-inch blade on it, but it was battery operated.
Just what they needed, as long as they got batteries charging all the time, right?
Right.
Game changer.
Unbelievable.
Game changer. And it was some of the basic things even. So if you take, I'm just going to bring up my list here because I don't want to get off in the weeds too bad. I'm trying to stick to what we want to talk about today. We've had some going off the rails lately, folks. I'm trying to be more diligent. But it was everything. The fact that some changes in basic equipment and technology have made not our own jobs easier and safer, but faster, more efficient. And I don't just mean technology, but even some of the simple things like fasteners and tools and what you kneel on.
Right.
You know, there's been some real things that we take them for granted now. So I just wanted to take a minute today, and I'm glad you brought it up, to talk about those things.
Well, and I just saw a recent video. This guy was demoing a screw. It was a screw that was in a nail gun, and they were able to shoot these screws in through a nail gun, but then back them out like a regular screw.
It would spin them in from a nail gun? Like high speed spin them in?
Yeah.
Man, I wish you had sent me that video. I've never heard of that.
I thought I did send it. Maybe I didn't. But
yeah, I saw some wild stuff research in this episode. Yeah, I never saw that one.
It was crazy. I'm like, dude, really? A screw fastener that's shot in by a nail gun?
Well, and I have seen one of the ones at the trade show now where they put the screw in, and because of the way they designed the head and the material that they're using, that looks like a wood board, but it's a manufacturer, where you can't tell there's a screw or a nail or anything there, they put hundreds in. I'll put these videos up on socials, folks. It's crazy.
Right.
The guy shows they put dozens and dozens and dozens, and it just looks like a board.
Yeah, it was the flooring.
Yeah, the the guy didn't say what it was. It could have been flooring or wall covering or whatever it was.
Right.
It's the same thing. It was that, like, the dark gray color on the video I saw. It's amazing. Something about the way they designed the finish on the outside looks just like a wood board that you'd use on your floor or use on your wall, but when you screw the screw through, it seals the hole somehow.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm not a fucking scientist, right? It's real interesting. Look it up on the internet. Say, we'll put it up on the socials. It's wild stuff.
The one thing that I don't understand, well, caveat to that is, how are you pulling that screw out? How are you going to find it? Because it does disappear.
They conveniently didn't mention that on this particular video I watched, which I'm glad you brought it up, man. I'll look into that a little bit, and if anybody has any questions, if you reach out to me, I'll get back to you. I'll do a little more research in the DMs. You send me a message, I'll get back to you. Yes, I didn't know how they did that.
Right.
That is actually part of the thing, too. But if the difference is filling screw holes or putting stuff up once that you never have to really worry about taking down again, that's the next guy's problem. Unfortunately, the trades behave that way occasionally.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right, but we all know that kind of goes on.
Here, I'm going to show this to you. I know everybody can't see this.
Yeah, I will put it up online, folks. Okay. So for everybody just listening, it's definitely a reel. And when I say reel, I mean like the spherical reel that you'd see that will go into a nail gun that looks like a
roofing nailer.
Construction Tommy gun, roofing nailer, right?
The spiral.
But it definitely has, I can't tell what the head is on it. Phillips cut maybe, yeah. But it's definitely a screw driven in. It's called, well, this is from Nail Gun Depot, so obviously it's a big thing. That's pretty handy if you were doing a big deck or something or putting up a bunch of sheeting, man, instead of nail gunning it in.
Right.
What John showed me is, again, we will put it up, folks. It's definitely screws in a nail gun reel.
Right.
And the only way they could drive them in would be to spin them in as you would a screw normally. I never heard of that, man. That's pretty cool.
Right.
And then people are going to reach
scrails. Whatever.
Screw nails. Okay, scrails. I'll do the scrails. And for everybody who reaches out to me, I'm going to catch you in advance here. I know I'm going to hear shit about this. Yeah, this might have been around for 30 years, and John, I just didn't know because we're fucking electricians or whatever, right?
There's a possibility
but it's good to know that those things are out there. And even aside from, because we certainly are going to talk about a lot of tools and equipment today, but I just want to briefly touch, if it's okay, John, on something that wasn't exactly tools or equipment, maybe kind of, depending on how you look at it.
Sure.
But for us specifically here in the Midwest, now we've mentioned recently that we had a pretty lucky year this year as far as winters goes. It was pretty chill. It wasn't real cold very often. We got real lucky this year.
Right.
But advancements in thermal clothing and heated clothing, and I mean, even something simple as, I don't know how old they are. I meant to look it up and I forgot, but the heating pads that you can put in your feet or your boots or your pockets, you know what I mean?
The hot hands.
The hot hands.
Yep.
Even some simple things like that have been developed over the last, I'm going to say hot hands have been around for 40 years.
Probably.
50 years, maybe.
Maybe.
Even something like that to keep you comfortable on the job sites. The batter-operated clothing we have now, the vest, shout out to Dom Hamilton. Gave me one of those heated Milwaukee vests for a gift a couple of years. That thing is a fucking lifesaver.
Oh yeah, dude. I don't run the name brand stuff, but I have heated hoodies. I have heated socks, and dude, God, man, have they saved my life? So I'm not gonna say they saved my life, but dude, they made my day a whole lot better.
Right, which may as well be the same as saving your life as a construction. They made my work day 15% better. That's a huge number.
Yeah, and frankly, it's way more than that. When I wear my heated hoodie,
I was being conservative.
It's 60% better.
Right, it's way better, right? You don't have to have 4 layers of clothing on that you're trying to adjust throughout the day. Just something simple that is right up there.
Right.
John had a big look on his face there for a second. I'm kind of curious what he saw. What are you looking at, buddy?
I'm looking up at the hand warmers, the hot hands.
Yeah. You're going to tell me it's like 1830 or some shit, right?
1891, patented.
There you go, folks. That's why I admitted I had no idea.
Released in 1923.
So some variation of that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it was a fairly recent thing, but I still agree. Game changer.
Absolute game changer. And I think we should probably mention
1920s.
Right.
I was really off on that, folks.
I think we should probably mention that game changers happen to everybody kind of individually because you don't know what's out there because there's so much out there. You don't know what's out there until you actually see it. And then you're all like, oh, for sure. Where has that been my entire life?
Yeah. And as I just mentioned earlier with the Scrails thing, or is that right? Scrails? Yeah, screw nails. Scrails. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I want to make sure I didn't get that wrong. Things that might be common in other groups and other trades and all that all of a sudden seems like genius to us. And then you have somebody look at you going, yeah, we've had those since I was a kid. Dickhead. Right. Like, yeah, I've had that happen to me. Right. I specifically think of, so we will very often, depending on the trade you're in, use some sort of kneeling pad, or actually wear knee pads if you're at it all day. And I remember seeing some of the, and you should save your knees, folks. Save your knees. Yeah.
Take it from somebody who didn't.
Yes. Save your knees. Spend a couple extra bucks and buy a nice, comfortable set of knee pads. Diatribe. All right. But the fancy ones, like the flooring guys got, the tile guys who were putting down floor all day. Yep. I mean, that saved how many of their knees for their retirement?
Oh, knees and ankles and hips. And right. I don't think people understand like the progress that they've gone to now, where I recently seen one. It's a knee pad and it's kind of in this hardened frame. And I can tell that it's probably a little clunky to use. But if you're on your knees like a flooring guy or a tile guy all day long, it actually has a spot that sits above your foot that you can actually sit on, and it's a hard frame, so you kneel down and then sit back.
Oh, hey, listen, I remember as a kid they had that development happen with, I was a catcher in baseball when I was a little kid. They had the same thing where all of a sudden there was a spot where you could take the pressure off your ankle because you can lean on this thing. So obviously either they came up with it first or they took it from one or the other. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I was getting at today, though.
Yeah.
It's something you think of as simple and maybe you take for granted, but wow, it made like a trade's day easier.
Oh, for sure.
So, and we've talked before, so let's touch real quick. We'll get past the stuff that we've previously mentioned in episodes. Okay, so obviously, payphone to pager to cell phone to tablet has been... Okay, we can agree. Right. We've talked about it before, right? We've killed that one. That one's definitely there.
Yep.
But some of the lesser ones that we've often thought about is the the simple safety equipment that a lot of us don't use sometimes. I'm going to bring one up here in a second, right?
A lot of time.
But things that just got mass produced that all of a sudden made the workday a little safer, a little better. So proper safety glasses.
Oh, dude.
Now, do we all do the squint method occasionally still?
Absolutely.
Sure we do. And we shouldn't. I'm not a proponent of that, but I will drill occasionally and I'll safety squint when my glasses are 15 feet away. I could go get them.
Right.
But even some generic things like that we don't take for, that we have taken for granted maybe. I mean, that was great for people.
Dude, and I've noticed, I want to dial in right there on that, on the safety glass. It's a simple little thing, right? And a little adder to your day. I don't even do work at home anymore without safety glasses on. When I'm doing my remodel projects,
man,
I will always put safety glasses on.
I'm proud of you.
It's just like, no, you know how many times I've been running my saw and having to squint while I run a freaking table saw? Nah. Finally got educated enough, edumacated into just using a pair of safety glasses. I keep them at home. And I think people take for granted, now they're not designed to stop everything, but you know what? They stop a lot and your eyes are valuable.
I assume we all think the same thing, right? It's one of those deals where if something was ever to happen and you were getting a bunch of shavings or something in your eye, whether it's wood or metal or copper, whatever it happens to be,
right?
It would be an obvious look back and going, yeah, definitely should have been wearing those all these years. Got real lucky for 10 years and then fucking went half blind in my left eye.
Right.
Yeah, we should be wearing them all the time. It's a shame that a lot of us have that. It's not even like a tough guy attitude. It's just complacency or lazy or whatever it is that we don't just literally grab them from right over there and throw them on. It's not that inconvenient.
Right. How about cut resistant gloves?
Man, I was going to bring it up. I'm glad you said it. It's crazy how many little cuts we all get on our hands all the time. Yeah. Every time I do take my gloves off for whatever reason during the day, it's the project I'm doing. I need a little more dexterity, whatever my excuse is. Because I'll be honest, my company's policy is wear them all the time.
Yep.
And I should be, and I try to be very diligent. I'm in the high percentages, right? Yep. But occasionally you need some dexterity. And then the little extra cuts you get, you're absolutely right, man. Them cut resistant gloves.
Right.
Just saving your hands from being busted up and raw like bricks all the time. I mean, you're right on it, man. That's a good point. Right. Cut resistant gloves. We don't think about it too much.
I mean, you've always had gloves.
Right.
Right. But when they developed the tech to actually bring in cut resistance, dude, I've sliced my hand open with gloves on steel studs.
Oh, for sure.
Right. And cut-resistant gloves stop that.
Right.
Right.
I mean, it's as simple as that, right? They do the job that they're supposed to do. And somebody recently pointed out to me, I don't remember who it was. Hopefully it dawns on me later. I can shout them out. The disposable things that we all have now, it was easy to take these things for granted, and it was easy to forget because you had boxes of safety glasses.
Right.
You had boxes of gloves in varying sizes.
Right.
If you didn't like the earplugs the job was using, complain to your foreman, and he'd usually get you a box of the ones you liked because you were more likely to wear them, right?
Right.
When things became cheap and consumable, we took them for granted, but those were big things when they happened.
Right.
Easily accessible safety equipment.
Yep.
We're in the generation of taking that for granted, and at the time, man, when that wasn't spending $40 for every single pair of safety glasses that you needed on a crew, when you could buy a box of 20 for $8.99 or whatever it got down to, right? I'm just throwing numbers out. That was a big deal.
Right.
I'm trying to be more conscious of it myself because you're right. I don't want to go blind. Listen, I cut a pipe on a job site recently, dude. A little 1-inch pipe. I had the battery operated, nice saw going. Not one that was throwing everything in the air. A nice little portable bandsaw. And cutting over my head, my glasses were 10 feet away.
Right.
And I cut through the pipe and everything's no problem. But the second I moved the pipe out of the way to try to hook it up to the other one, well, all them shavings from the inside went right in my eye, man. Yep. I blinked, luckily, at the right moment or whatever, and didn't have metal shavings in my eye. But it could have went the other way for something as simple as, and then they're comfortable. It's not like you're putting a steel cage on your head. It's just a pair of safety glasses, right?
Right. Right. After how many you don't even know that they're...
Yeah, I'm sorry to spin, folks, but I mean, I realize I should be doing better about this, and hopefully everybody listening goes, yeah, it's really easy to go get your glasses. Don't go blind for nothing.
And at the same time, man, like I said, they don't stop everything, but like they stop the majority. And I've had safety glasses on and still got shit in my eyes, but at that point, you're doing what you can.
Hey, listen, I would bet there's multi-millions of people out there who have gotten somebody pregnant wearing a condom. They're not safety equipment ain't bulletproof, kids, right? Like, it's trying to be safe. Yeah, I get what you're saying, buddy. Yeah.
Right.
Now, as far as that goes, I mean, I know the squint and turn your head is not the great thing, right? Ever. There's also been some things that have made our lives really easy and convenient that might have taken away jobs from other trades. I'm appreciative of that. So, for example, just off the top of my head, I mean, like the amount and availability and ease of getting a scissor lift or a JLG on a job site now, that used to be scaffolding people.
Yep.
They definitely lost hours and work because all of a sudden you didn't need scaffolding around the whole building because they got 4 or 5 lifts or JLGs in.
Yep.
I do appreciate that some of these advancements and what we were calling game changers here weren't great for every trade.
Yep. And you're never going to have that. Nothing's ever going to balance out, right? I don't think. But at the same time, let's face it, when it comes to the way the construction industry is ran anymore, and the fact that we have to progress so quickly on the job site has to keep going. Having to take the time for a company to come in and set up scaffolding, because, I mean, without getting too technical here, you have to have a competent person setting up your scaffolding.
I could give you a story about it if you're interested.
And we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But like, because I definitely want to hear that. But in order to do that, and you have to schedule that company to come in and do that. Well, I can have a JLG that's 60, 80, 120 feet long boom delivered tomorrow and take care of the problem. Right?
That's kind of what I was getting at here. The ease of availability, not to mention the ease of use with a little bit of simple training, is unfortunately taking away jobs from the people who use build scaffold. Like that's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah, but that's part of the progress in the construction industry that we're saying is that everything has to be, we have to move so much faster now. Everything has to be so much more efficient that is going to happen. At some point, those jobs are going to be taken by a better piece of tech.
Yeah. Better is relative, but I see what you're getting at. Yeah. What people in the positions of investment and authority at the shop are going to see in the bidding process as a more efficient, cheaper way, more likely, or faster even, of getting a job done. So yes, what you're saying is. So we talked quickly at the Scrails thing. I keep coming back to that now. Just a really quick side note here. Even the advancement in some real simple things like the fasteners that we use. Man, you can get a nail or a screw or a toggle bolt or whatever for the exact thing you need, coated with the right material, with the right little bushing on the end that seals it from water. Like, you can get a nail or a screw or a bolt or a nut or a toggle bolt for anything now. That in itself is really handy.
Right. Well, and it sucks. And I do want to make a point, come back real quick. Your fasteners is right, because having the ability to do all that makes it super, super, super easy, right? When you need something, you can find it, right? But there are times that the old is just better.
Okay, so here's the deal, man. All right, let me tell you something real quick. I was on a job site over the last, I guess it was probably 5 or 6 months ago now. I was reinstalling some fairly significant size and weight lights on the exterior of a building.
Sure.
And as I took the old ones off and saw how they were fastened and learned what the new material was going to be that was going to be on the exterior, for one reason I won't get into because it'd be too obvious who I was talking about. The exterior of the building was not correct for the environment that we're in. They didn't want the exterior to fall off and hit anybody, so they went, we need to change the entire exterior of this building. One stone for another. Okay. One type of stone for another.
Sure.
So I then had to look into how am I going to rehang the weight of these lights from this. Well, the back and forth that I had with job soups and project managers and my own research to find out what am I going to do to put that weight back up in the air on that if it doesn't hold, I'm going to have to be responsible and look somebody in the eye and go, I thought I was doing what was best. I'm sorry that light fell off the building and crushed your grandma or your daughter or your pit bull, whatever it is, right? I had a lot of back and forth. I wanted to make sure and I wasn't even just trying to cover my ass. Although we have to do that sometimes, right? But that's not what I was doing. I wanted to make sure that whatever thing I chose, and once I started to look into it, point being in this whole thing we're talking about, I could get as specific as I'm drilling through this piece of material, anchoring into this type of material with this type of material as a backing, and had the availability for the people making fasteners to go, yeah, you want one of these. They knew right away. They could break it right down. Oh, you're going through this into this that's secured to this behind it. Oh, you want this kind of fastener.
Oh, that's amazing.
When before it was like, well, if you get some heavy thread screws, it'll probably hold. Like,
right.
We're not in that world now.
Right.
We got to make sure we think ahead and go, okay, well, I don't want that to fall off the wall. I want to do a professional job, right? Not to cover my butt, but to do the proper way to make your job stay as you built it.
Right.
Not fall apart. That's what we all want, right? Long-term success in our buildings.
Exactly.
But yeah, that was a whole big thing just to figure that out. And when the people at the fastener place were just instantaneously like, yeah, that's this. It's part number blah, blah, blah. We sell them to you any day of the week.
Oh, dude, that's amazing.
It seems like such a simple thing, but in the world of what we're talking about here, the game changers, it was really convenient to have them instantaneously know, yeah, you just do this.
Having that confidence in something is unbelievable when it comes to construction because we don't always get that, right? Because there's a lot of times where we are making a decision based on our best knowledge and having somebody else that we can look at and be like, hey, I've got this going on. And they're just like, oh yeah, this is what you need. We do this every day. This is what you need.
Now, that does still put us in the position, and you're right? That does still put us in the position of, is that person full of shit?
Right.
Or do they know their product and they're super confident? You also have to have that discussion sometimes too, right?
Yeah.
That's always in the back of our minds as professionals.
Yep.
But yeah, what you're saying is absolutely true, man. It's really nice to have those resources now, and so many businesses seem to have a phone number or a text line or lots of contacts where you're talking to a professional who knows the products inside and out, not to try to bullshit you, not to try to sell you, but so that you can use their products with confidence and call up a number and go, here's a situation I'm dealing with, and have that person go, listen, I know my products inside and out, and this is what you want to use.
Right.
That didn't used to be the thing. It used to be catalogs and looking at the shear ratings and the holding pound per foot of whatever thread size on particular thing, right?
Right.
Then it was a little more guesswork, but now sometimes there's that guesswork where you got to go, that'll probably hold.
Right.
Right. But having the ability to contact so many businesses who have expanded their informational resource to contractors is amazing to me.
Right.
I love it.
Hey everybody, it's break time. Jason and I are going to take a minute, refill our drinks during our episode. While we do that, we want to take a quick minute, shout out this week's sponsor. It's Tiny Homes Atlantic. These guys use the Buy Us a Beer app on our website at isawpodcast.com. Your support really does go a long way to help us grow this podcast into something great, and we really, really do appreciate it. So from all of us here at the Ice Shower After Work podcast, thank you. Yep. And that ties into what we're talking about here, is that game-changing fact of the available information that is given to everybody.
Honest information.
Honest information.
Not bullshit sales to get me to buy 50,000 boxes of this, but once I have the product, to be able to contact you and say, blah, 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 and confidently be able to tell me, you're good.
Now, do you think what happens with liability at that point?
Well,
right.
This is why I brought this particular part up. I know we're talking about something simple like fasteners, right?
Right.
But you can say whatever you want, and we can only, again, John and I have talked a million times. We talk for electricians. That's why we try to have some different trades on, right? But I assume everybody at some point is kind of covering their ass and thinking about liability. Like in my particular case I brought up, I didn't want one of them big heavy lights crushing some old lady.
Right.
Man, I don't want to be the face on the news when that comes off the building and my company throws me to the wolves, right?
Right.
But not even because of that, the fact that I don't want it to happen. You know what I mean? You have to consider occasionally what could happen with what you're building. The safety, the liability. It's part of the job. If you're going to be in a position of authority at any point, eventually the liability of what you're doing is going to cross your mind.
Yep.
What I was getting at was the fact that these companies seem to care about selling their products based on the confidence you can have in their reliability. And if something is reliable, well, that's where that word comes from, of liable.
Right.
We can repeatedly be confident in the liability of this product. That's where reliable comes from. That's the vernacular of the word, right?
Yep.
So if you find a company that's reliable and seems to be doing a good job, it makes you feel confident. Why wouldn't you use them?
Right.
And that's just, again, something simple. You can expand that into power tools and trucks and scissor lifts and whatever we use on the job day to day.
Yep. Absolutely.
Heavy equipment for the 40, everything, right?
I just kind of thought of something when it comes to that. You bring up a good point, because we're always trying to better a building, not necessarily better our job, but better a building. We're wanting these buildings to last longer. We're wanting them to be more functional, right? So
customers are wanting that.
Well, customers are wanting that by default.
By default, we need to want that. Hey, I got you. Yeah. Sorry to step on you, buddy.
So the deal that I'm seeing, and I guess maybe it just struck me right now, is the progress in advancement in the job site and the materials that we're using and the game changers that we're dealing with. Like the biggest one is on a building, on a structural building overall, is outside exterior things that are added to the building, right? Like we're talking signage, we're talking lighting, we're talking sheet metal panels, we're talking about brick.
Building exterior, that's how an adult would say it, kids, doesn't get the respect it deserves, because you're not going to want to look at a brick building a lot of the time.
Exactly.
It's always about the visual exterior. Yes. Right. Continue, buddy.
And as we progress, I don't know about you, I've started noticing, and damn, I kind of feel bad. at this point, because I'm realizing this now and I'm having an existential crisis with this, that the fact that the poor bricklayers, the brickies, the guys that are actually putting up these facades, right?
Spancrete, right?
Spancrete has fucked them. Spancrete has screwed them because you can make a building look however you want to, poured in a form.
You make a fantastic point, man. Yeah, like that used to be, bricklayers used to put up the walls and foundations and shit of a building a lot of the times, along with the concrete guys, right?
Right.
But you're right. Now they're just standing up Spancrete walls. Like there definitely had to be jobs cost when that technology became prevalent. I'm glad you brought it up, man. Right. You're absolutely right. I never even thought that's a great one.
Like, and it's a valuable step in the process. And
it is.
But for the brickies to, man, they just kind of got their asses handed to them.
Now, I hope a few people, now that you brought that point up, from the bricklayer world, masonry, I know we say bricklayer. Listen, you guys call us Sparkies, fuck off, all right?
Right.
We're respectful. Masonry, yes. Okay.
The Masons.
Yeah, hopefully there was a number of jobs that the people in those trades were able to move into the world of Spancrete and the erection of said Spancrete and things like that.
Hopefully, yeah.
But I mean, it wasn't everybody.
Right.
Like as we were pointing out, some of these advancements cost people jobs.
Right. And a lot. And a lot of jobs.
Sometimes a lot of jobs, yeah.
Right.
It's unfortunate that is the case. Like you make a great point, man. Spancrete, yeah, bricklayers, that's a great point.
Right. And there are so many other aspects that, yes, the things that make the quality of life on a job site better is going to cost jobs. I don't think we can get away from that because there's no way we're going back to the old days.
Some things will back it up. No. Okay, sorry to step on you. Yeah, some things certainly are going to cost jobs. Not everything did.
Right.
You know what I mean? Better heating and air conditioning on job sites added jobs.
Oh, yeah.
Insulating a not complete building. The people that come in to make sure they temperature controlled that building one way. Some of these things did create jobs.
Right.
It's unfortunate that it's not as many as eliminated jobs.
Right. Well, and that's a dead horse that we're going to end up beating to death.
So
and I'm okay
times,
with
folks,
beating to death with that. We're just losing jobs by the droves. But what do we do? But beyond that, let's talk about the other things that have made some like really key, crucial changes in the simple fact of beating our bodies to death, right? Because our jobs are massively labor intensive, right? So you take anything, an item comes on the market that says, hey, you know what? We're going to take the strain off your body by doing this menial task. Oh, thank God. Right. And the thing that I can bring up that I'm thinking of is like the exoskeleton.
So listen, dude, I looked into this. Hold on. I'm really fucking excited you brought this up.
Because the one that I saw was like, hey, you know what? We're going to hold the weight of the core drill so you can just core drill all day. I'm all for that.
All right, dude, listen. Thank you for bringing it up. So there's two parts to that, all right? So when you said exoskeleton, and I know it sounds like a sci-fi thing, folks, but look it up on the internet. Maybe we'll post a couple things. It's out there in a couple of different formats. So there's two different versions of what you're talking about. I think you're bringing up, so I know Hilti, for example, has basically what is a shoulder-mounted backpack deal that has a swingable, movable, articulating arm.
That's what I'm talking about. Right, yeah.
So battery-operated, either hammer drill or jackhammer kind of, that takes the weight off you through an overhead arm and a piece of retractable aircraft cable that takes the weight off and adjusts it and everything. Again, all battery operated, so you're not holding up a big tool all day. Those seem pretty great.
Right.
Now, of course, nothing that's great is cheap, but they're not crazy expensive. I looked into it. I'm not going to even say the number because I said Hilti already, so I don't want to get in a fucking thing here. But if you don't know what we're talking about, folks, you can find it on the internet real easy. But imagine the machine guns that a couple of the people had on the Aliens movie, where it was on like a swivel device. Now theirs were around their waist. This one's like a backpack. But if you know what I'm talking about, that's what it is.
Yep.
It basically takes the weight off, so you're just directing it, not holding the weight.
Right.
All right? But then, my friend, there's the actual quote-unquote scientific sci-fi futuristic exoskeleton that they're developing right now. And when I say developing, I take that word back. It's not developed. It's available for purchase right now.
No.
So let me tell you what we're talking about here, okay? I looked at videos, I watched some things, okay?
I'm Googling as Jason's talking.
Look Googling as we go, okay? Basically what this is, it is a upper body book bag harness thing that you put on that has hardened and reinforced different kinds of plastics and metals, and it's battery operated and powered and actuated that helps you do more. So the one that I found would enable a user to handle 90 kilograms. I only mention that because it was on their advertisement. I'm going to do the math. That's 198 pounds or a little more, okay?
Ooh.
What it does is it gives the person the ability to hold incredible weight because this exoskeleton will reinforce their arms and their joints and their shoulders and things, right? You see, John's laughing because he found the part that I found was funny. He got to it before I could even explain it, all right? Here's the problem, folks. 2 things. 1, yeah, it's really cool that they could build something that you could put on that would help you hold this weight. Yeah, it makes you do more work, sure. But it's $100,000 goddamn dollars. That's a lot of investment for someone who can now just carry more, but that's not the real problem. And look this up, folks. I will put it up on the socials, but you can find it yourself. Not only does it say it enables the user to carry 198 plus pounds, 90 kilograms for $100,000, but in their advertisement, they show a woman wearing it carrying a DeWalt drill.
No way.
Their advertisement team should be drawn and quartered. Okay. Yes. What they're talking about sounds really interesting, but if your version of that advertisement is showing a person holding a yellow and black 5-pound DeWalt drill to prove that your exoskeleton is good. I mean, there's billions of us, not billions, there's millions of us doing that every single day. Jesus. I don't need an exoskeleton, right? You should show her holding up a car or something impressive, right? Yeah.
Good Lord.
A whole jackhammer in one hand. Yeah, it shows her holding just one. We're definitely going to put it up on socials. It's ridiculous. It sounds cool, but
my God.
Right.
Look, if you're going to do it, now they make different ones, right? And I don't know about the one that you're just talking about.
I'm going to send it to you. It's fucking crazy.
Please do.
It's crazy.
I've seen the ones, I think Milwaukee makes one. I think Hilti makes one. DeWalt hasn't made one, I don't think, or at least I haven't seen it yet. And please correct me if I'm wrong. If you're out there and you know DeWalt's made one of these exoskeleton or some version of that, send it to us. I'd love to see it. But like Hilti's, like I want to see. I was just looking it up. I was literally Googling.
That's how an adult would say Googling. Yeah, keep going, buddy. Yeah.
While Jason was talking, not Googling.
I am a handsome man, but that's not what he meant.
He is good. But anyway, Hilti's version, I would really like to see all the sheetrockers on the job site use these. It is literally made just for your arms and your shoulders to take that load when guys are hanging sheetrock, when they're screwing anything. You know, they're designed to take that load off your shoulders and stuff like that. I'd really like to see sheetrockers, every sheetrocker on the job site use that, because they're $1,500. And
I know exactly what you're talking about, man. Yes, that repetitive. Anyone who's working in the trades who listens, you've heard meow, meow, meow when they're putting in screws in the sheetrock all day. 5,000 times in a day. It'd be way easier for them to have that weight off and just direct that tool.
Yeah.
Sounds like a game changer to them, right? Yeah. That's what we're talking about here.
Absolutely.
Today, so.
And I think I'd love to see everybody have those because of the simple fact of just being able to not destroy your body anymore. You know what I mean?
Listen, anything we can do to elongate our careers, we're hard enough on our bodies as is. And we're in a nice, easy trade where, yes, we certainly put some strain on our bodies, but we'll be the first to admit, I think, I'll speak for both of us here, there's other trades out there that are putting real strain on their bodies. Sheetrockers, like you said, brick, like it's iron workers, right? It's definitely out there. So, yeah, these tools that can help with that, God love these sort of things.
Oh, no shit. You know what was so funny is I remember the ads that I thought it was so cool. I never bought one, but I always thought that'd be kind of nice to have around the house. Those automatic hammers.
Oh,
Those little palm hammers.
Okay.
Like, how cool are those little things, man?
So you've seen the advertisements on a Saturday morning after the cartoons end and before the home improvement shows begin. Yeah. We know those were fucking useless, right? So then we bring up a good point, but yes, I remember the automatic camera. Yeah, you held it in your hand, you clicked the little button, and the head just moved. Bap, bap, bap. They were fucking bullshit, right? Just enough to fire a little tiny nail to hang a light picture. I know exactly what you mean. So you bring up the fact that there's also some of these quote unquote advancements were fucking useless.
Oh God, yes.
They weren't all wins, right?
Jesus.
So right now, I mean, I'm going through a whole thing. Platform ladders. If you're out there right now and you haven't dealt with platform ladders yet,
what a useless fucking tool that is.
They are getting more and more prominent in more and more businesses because insurance companies or whomever is telling them they were safer. So this is the ladder where it's instead of 5 steps up, it's 3 steps and then a platform with a little end around where you stand on the platform and you don't have to lean on a ladder or whatever. Okay. Yep. If you don't know what it is, look it up. The internet's an amazing place. Dude, you're stuck at one particular height.
Yep.
They won't let you stand on the steps. They're only built for you to walk up and stand on the actual platform.
Have to stand on the platform.
Which makes no sense because if you're slightly too tall for the area you're working in, it's worse for you physically to be crouched over or bent over or in a weird physical position. Fuck them platform ladders, man.
Yep.
They're getting popular and I fucking hate it because they're okay, it looks good on your insurance line, on your bid for the job. It's terrible for the fucking workers. Fuck platform ladders.
Yeah, if you don't care about your guys that you have hired, yeah, go ahead and use them. But other than that, get the fuck rid of them.
Yeah, if you're not within a 6-inch window of what's comfortable for that person to work when they can stand up perfectly straight up and be comfortable, assuming they're not reaching or on their tiptoes, man, that's a 6 or 8-inch window.
Right.
Are you going to make 40 different heights of that ladder for the exact style? Now, fuck you guys and your stupid platform ladders.
Give you a good example. I am 6 feet tall, right? Those platform ladders, if you get a 6-foot ladder, the platform deck is at roughly 3 feet.
Right.
That puts my head at 9 feet.
With the average ceiling height at?
8'6".
That's not comfortable, is it, kids?
Yeah, exactly. Fuck
I'm slightly less likely to fall off it. And I looked it up. The percentage difference between falls off a regular A-frame ladder that you all use on a day job and these quote-unquote platform ladders, it's in like the 3% range that they're slightly better.
Really?
Good.
That's it?
But that's all an insurance company cares about. And with respect to companies that you and I work for and other companies people work for, that's enough percentage for some people to make that change.
Right.
I hope you're factoring in the fact that more people are going to have fucking neck and back and shoulder injuries because they're fucking kneeling or ducking or standing on their tiptoes now.
Right. Right. No shit.
When before we had 6 options on a 6-foot ladder, 8 options on an 8-foot ladder to get us to a reasonable height.
Right.
That's not a win. I just hate that it's become useful and popular for companies through those reasons of, well, the insurance companies say they're better.
Sure.
All right, you know what I mean? Fuck, like, we can argue about that. That's a rabbit hole we can fall into, right?
Yeah, like, that is merely the fact of companies are controlling what we're doing that have no reason controlling what we're doing.
Even if the company, let me take a step back from what you said. I agree with what you said, okay? Even if it is a matter of the companies that we work for adopting these tools or options or policies because it is theoretically on paper more safe, maybe that gets them a little break on the operating costs of the company for insurance. Okay,
sure.
I understand. I'm okay with that. But make sure if you're a president or an owner or a PM or something right now and you actually do listen to this, factor in the fact that it's probably going to lead to more strain injuries because you can't stand at a comfortable height. Or if you offer those platform ladders, don't make your company so bitchy that if somebody's not standing on the one platform that they say is okay and they're on one of the steps,
right?
Don't fucking tell them they can't do that. Like, we know how to climb a ladder. We're professionals here.
Right.
Fuck out of here. Anyway, sorry. Side note there, folks.
No, you're 100% right.
I'm a little passionate about this.
The simple fact of the matter is if you're the owner of a company, and I'm going to dial in on owners because if you're getting controlled by your insurance company to make your guys do certain things, You have no fucking spine. I'm sorry.
No, can I jump on you? I'm really
Absolutely.
sorry, buddy. Okay, I'm sorry, buddy. I appreciate what you're saying, and my heart agrees with what you're saying. I'm not going to say that the companies are spineless for doing that. I understand they have to make some occasional financial decisions based on things. And sometimes it's out of their control. Sometimes that's so they could bid certain jobs to have a certain insurance rate, okay? I'm willing to accept that businesses have to do that. As long as they're open-minded enough to go, if that new tool that saves us 3% on this, but do we have 5% more injuries because the tool isn't?
That's just it.
Owners, presidents, just look at the big picture.
Yep.
Just because the insurance says it's better, make sure you ask the question, but how many more injuries do I have, or strains or things, because not only are those ladders heavier to move around point to point and more inconvenient to set up,
right,
but also more often than not, I got to stand or kneel or crouch in a weird position and probably going to hurt. Just look at the big picture. That's all I'm saying.
I'm going to say when it comes to ladders, the best ladder out there on the market, the best for standard use. Now, the Little Giants are not in this because the Little Giant ladders that you can actually set up on the stairs are fantastic.
Crucial.
But, dude, the leanable ladders that are rated to be leaned against the wall. Oh my God.
They're pretty great.
Like, dude, you know how much time that saves?
They were pretty great. They're pretty great.
And that they're OSHA approved to lean against the wall.
They're pretty great.
Now, I want everybody to remember that if you have a leaning ladder and they have locks, because they all have locks on between the legs, if you don't use those locks or you break the locks off, that ladder is no good anymore. That's part of the rules. Those stupid little plastic logs.
Some of them safety equipment things seem annoying, but they're there for a reason.
Right.
So just so you know, yeah.
I wanted to bring up with you, what do you think was because this happened before our time in the industry.
Okay.
What do you think that the impact was when walkie-talkies or radios became a thing?
Oh, Christ. Look, how much time, even today, okay, here's a weird thing about what you said, and I appreciate it. That's a good question, buddy. Obviously, it saved time. It made communication so much easier. I actually think that the walkie-talkie shoulder-mounted radio on your vest clipped to the little curly Q cord that was on your belt, it's actually better than a cell phone because you don't have to make the call. You physically reach up, click the button, blah, blah, blah,
right.
Whatever the next step is. Go ahead, do this. I actually think that walkie-talkies were better. We had a recent guest that talked about it where they said they like Pete, right? Pete was saying he likes his people to use that because it keeps them more engaged. But in my mind, it was simpler to use a walkie-talkie.
Right. Right. And just being able to be like, the fact of Pete said it really good is it cleans up. It does clean up the job site a little bit. Now we're still going to talk like construction workers and sailors, but at the same time is you're not going to be blasting a bunch of curse words over the radio when potentially the owner's walking by the other guy. You know?
Most people, when their voice can be out there to the general public or anybody on that particular radio wavelength could listen in, people tend to just be a little more, what's the word I'm looking for here? Conscientious of how they speak.
Yes.
Naturally. Right? Yeah. Some people don't care. Obviously, some people still say what they're going to say. But most people, when it could be anybody listening and not just you talking to your buddy in your headphone, that is definitely the case, Ed, for sure.
I had one instance on the radios where fired up the radios. Me and the guy were pulling wire. And I changed it to a certain channel, which I thought was good. And I started talking to him. And instantly, as soon as I got done talking, I heard another voice that was not my coworkers.
That's not good.
It was the crane operator. And he's like, "Get the hell off this channel."
They do need to keep in real close contact with their people on the ground, their spotters. Yeah.
Yep. It's like, "Oh, sorry, man. Copy temp work." Click.
Now, also, if you got a crane operator and a spotter on site, I mean, shouldn't they take 5 seconds to tell the job site or tell the soup so we can spread it around like, listen, we're on channel 6, stay the fuck off of channel 6. Right. That seems pretty reasonable. They're always slow as shit anyway. I'm not bagging on crane operators. We're going to have one on here in another couple of weeks, right? But I mean, really, you guys aren't fucking kicking it in the ass. Like, you're there for a few hours, right? You couldn't take another few minutes to let the job site know, like, this is a channel we're on. Maybe don't get on that channel because we got to talk.
Right.
Sorry, unpopular opinion for the crane operators.
You haven't done one of those in a while.
I haven't done it in a while. I just realized, unpopular opinion for the crane operators. You could take 5 seconds and fucking tell everybody what channel you're on. We'll stay off it.
Right. Leave it alone.
Right. And also, so just to kind of sum up a tiny little bit here, man. I mean, we take a lot of the little things for granted, and I didn't want to harp on them because we've brought them up before, but I mean, you just mentioned walkie-talkies, but even the Bluetooth headsets where it's in your ear all the time, basically, or very accessible to swing into your ear to not have to lose a hand for the walkie-talkie.
Yeah, I love it.
To be able to multitask, work safer when we're driving. I mean, as a service guy, I can't grab a phone anymore. It's so nice. I got my earphone in all the time. Somebody calls me, hey, how are you? Keep driving, both hands on the wheel. Yep. So, some simple things like that have been fantastic.
Right.
Now, we can talk about the little things, right? They make hard hats out of better material now. They're thinner. They're not
lighter,
heavy
they
as
breathe
shit.
Better.
The little strap that hangs onto your head is way more comfortable and way more adjustable. Like those things, if you have to wear a hard hat every day, that is nice, you know?
Yep.
You're not squeezing your head and getting a goddamn headache every day.
Right.
Those things are actually, I think, kind of really important. And even some of the little things that we didn't talk about that, again, I didn't look up, sorry folks, how long they've been around, but like a leveling laser.
Oh God, was that just amazing?
To put stuff all at the same thing, vertically or horizontally, and sometimes even on. Man,
right.
how it helps us a little, but I mean, man, for framers,
right?
For HVAC guys, like that is huge.
It's huge for us for places that need to be perfect.
Yeah, no, we can certainly use it, right? But there's what I'm saying is, yes, it's valuable to us as electricians, but there's trades out there. That was like the wheel.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to use a plumb bob and a tape measure 50 times a day. I just put the level in one spot and do everything.
Tell me about
the leveling laser. Yeah, it's handy for us, but that was crucial for some other trades, right?
Absolutely.
Especially if things needed to be on a mild angle. Well, then at least you could put a level on the laser and make a height adjustment as you went
you'd
off
have a
all
reference.
You could have it very exact.
Right.
I think of oh my God, I'm pulling up a blank here. Well, plumbing certainly, but even the drains on the roof on the outside of your house. Why can't I think of the
gutters?
Gutters for gutters, even to get your gutters at a very specific angle. To stuff like that.
Right.
You know, they were using levels before and trying to do the math, and now they put the laser level at a perfect level, and then just go every foot you want to be X number down. Continue that to the end.
Yep. Dude, and I don't think people understand how many lasers are actually used anymore on a job site. I mean, dude, if you're ever on a job site and you're looking around, just look up at the ceiling and see every straight line is usually there by a laser.
Because I love when we've talked about this before. I love when there's multiple lasers in the same room.
And they're
especially the same color.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about it. I love that. When somebody looks at what they thought was a laser and goes, wait, what the fuck? Oh, that's the other. Fuck, okay. Right. Yeah, I love when there's multiple lasers the same color in the same room. Yeah.
Right. And you know what? That's the shame. And I'll say that. That's the shame. There's green and red. And you would think, like, blue would be a good laser line.
I don't know how it works with the whole wavelength of color thing. I'm sure that factors into it. Right?
It does.
But in my mind, we are far enough ahead in technology now that if I was in a room with another trade and their laser was, let's say, green.
Right.
And then there was another trade that had red. You can't give me a little piece of plastic that slides in front of the laser that changes the spectrum to blue or purple or black.
Or they're LED lights, man. Why can't I just push a button on my laser level?
It seems to me that they could They could do something that we could go, oh, we're both using the same color. Hold on, let me change mine.
Yeah.
I think we're there. Laser companies.
Come on.
We're not there. Come on, laser companies.
We've got to be there.
We'll pay another couple bucks to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Whether it's some sort of plastic filter or a button we push. Come on.
Yeah. Make it a button, less things to carry around.
Yeah, everybody listen. Milwaukee, Hilti, Ideal, Klein. Look,
get your shit together.
Everybody listening, come up with this. We've now mentioned it. We're only going to take 10%. We're pretty reasonable. But fucking come on.
30.
Pull your head out of your ass and help us out.
30%.
Like 30. We can settle on 25. Now, one last thing I want to bring up here before we finish up, buddy. There's also kind of an offhand thing that I can't take credit for. One of the ladies I was actually working with this week brought it up.
Really?
There's part of this discussion that I didn't even think about until she brought it up. And when she brought it up, it really kind of struck home. It's also not only the game changer tools, the things that really helped us out, but the difference between a name brand and an off-brand tool. Because there are some things that having the name brand matters, and there's other times where, no, that tool is the same no matter what you buy. I can buy that thing at the fucking gas station or Walmart, right?
Right.
There's also that conversation of what, and that definitely varies trade to trade.
Yep.
Of what matters versus a name brand. So let me give an example. What's a really good one? Channel Lock, okay?
Yep.
Channel Lock is a name brand like WD-40, right? But most of us call it Channel Locks, even if it's another brand.
Yep.
Now, personally, I don't use the Channel Lock brand, and I'm not proud to say. I use a German-made brand called Knipex.
Knipex are good.
They're fantastic, right?
Yep. Curved jaw or flat jaw?
Curved jaw, of course.
Fantastic.
Right? We're electricians, right? But there's those options where sometimes a name brand really matters, and sometimes it doesn't. You also have to factor that into the game changer thing. Was it the physical tool that they came up with, or was it this particular brand that really fucking hit it? And man, you got to go buy that. You got to buy the Hilti one because it's great. You got to buy,
There's a lot of those out there, but at the same time, like there's the perfect example on the other side of that is a Phillips head screwdriver. They're all the fucking same,
right?
A number 2 Phillips,
but the tips,
the same.
But the mass-produced tips that you buy from certain companies, they're not all made the same.
Exactly.
You buy a box of 50 from a shitty company and you're snapping one all the time, but you buy Milwaukee's, as an example. You should sponsor us, Milwaukee.
Really should. Fuck.
Will last you whatever times long, 3, 4, 5, 10, whatever it is, right? I don't know the math, but there are cases where, and that actually brings up another point that I even think to mention, the availability of mass-produced consumables is a different now. You can get a really great kit of drill bits made of fucking coated, plated titanium, Russian titanium alloy, man. Shout out to the king of the hill, where they last you for a really long time.
Yep. When
before you were constantly, I got to get 5 more drill bits because they break them every day.
Right.
That's saw blades. That's utility blades. That
for sure.
The mass-produced availability of quality products is a big thing too. I'm glad I didn't skip by it. Like that's also important.
Well, and how many times do we buy tools that have like this lifetime warranty, but
like
we never
fucking bother with all that.
We never fucking take advantage of that. And the companies don't either.
Right.
Like I do as a homeowner.
Yes, certainly.
But that's because I don't want to spend another $100 on the same fucking thing.
And we've had the experience in the trades where we bought cheap tools a couple times. And if you're listening today, don't fucking lie to yourself. You made the mistake of buying a cheaper tool one time and went, nah, I'm going to buy the other one that I like next time.
Even if it's for the fact of, well, you know what? It looks the same. It should function the same.
It's just a screwdriver. It's just a hammer. No, it ain't.
No,
no, it ain't.
Perfect lesson in hammers. I want everybody, when you go to buy a hammer, when you're in the hardware store, grab the hammer you want. If there's a concrete floor that you're not going to damage and beat the shit, give it a tap on the floor or hit it with another hammer. Because you don't want to be the guy that I was 3 years ago and have the one hammer on the job site that rang like a dinner bell every time you struck something.
Yeah. I never thought about that, buddy. Yeah.
That's the hammer test.
Give it a ring. That's a good point, buddy. I hit it.
The tuning forks of a hammer. It's a big deal.
I do know that. My old man did bring that up when I was young one time. Like, if you go to buy a new hammer, hit it with another hammer.
Yeah.
Like, you'll know what it sounds like. Yeah.
You don't want to be that guy that everybody hates.
Yeah. Rest in peace, my old man. He did give me that. Yeah. He gave me that piece of advice one time. Like, if you go buy a new hammer, hit it with another one. See what it sounds like. And think about that 150 times a day.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that. That's a good call, buddy. You know what? I think that's a fantastic spot to end on.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So I really just want everybody to hit us up on our socials. Don't forget to give us a rate, review, and subscribe on everything. You've heard it 1,000 times through all of our episodes. You can hit us up on the website, isawpodcast.com. Get it signed up there. Shoot us a text, 507-607 ISAW. I did say that right?
That's fine. Yeah, 507-607 ISAW. That's right. Yeah.
And then hit us up, Instagram, give us a follow there. We're going to be posting a lot more. Things are kind of changing for us. We're kind of developing different strategies here as we move along.
If I can jump on you for a minute, man.
You absolutely
can. John is being really nice and really sort of business-minded here, but what he's talking about is we'd like to thank everybody. They're starting to reach out more. They're starting to interact more. And now that you're interacting more as our listeners, it changes the way we have to do things.
Yeah.
So that's what he's getting at. Thank you, everybody, for interacting more with us. And it's made us change how we have to interact with you and how we have to organize these things. So It's a problem we didn't know we were going to have to deal with, but we're happy. So anyway, sorry to step on anybody. Keep going. Keep interacting, folks. We love you.
Instagram is at ISAW Podcast. Everything, you just do a web search, ISAW Podcast, I Shower After Work Podcast. You will find us one way or another.
It's not that hard, folks.
Right. And if you want to just shoot us a text, we can text you back and forth. I learned a new deal. There's nothing bad with us texting you back if you start a conversation with us. But the signing up for the emails and stuff like that is going to give you heads up on when things are happening. It's going to give you heads up on if we're doing something outside of the podcast.
Which we're working on some of those things. We're talking about some interactive things we might do with everybody.
Yep, exactly. So Jason and I are just really, really happy that you decided to join us again. And I want you to, again, rate, review, and subscribe. It does. You may not think it helps, but it is a huge help.
It means nothing to you, everything to the podcast, folks. Take a minute, rate, review, subscribe. It takes you no time at all, and it helps us out immensely. So please.
Right. Other than that, my man, look forward to another week.
Yes, thank you everybody for joining us once again in the Job Trailer. We hope you enjoyed the talk today. Again, any comments you have, any feedback you have, please reach out to us on any of the socials. And John, as we always say, sir,
your work keeps the world working, my man.
That's goddamn right. Your work keeps the world working. Thank you, everybody. Be safe out there, and
Sláinte.
Sláinte.